and in the very moment when she felt the prick, she fell down upon the bed that stood there, and lay in a deep sleep. And this sleep extended over the whole palace. The king and queen, who had just come home and entered the great hall, began to go to sleep, and the whole of the court with them. The horses too went to sleep in the stable, and the dogs in the yard, and the pigeons upon the roof, and the flies on the wall. Even the fire that was flaming on the hearth became quiet and slept. The roast meat left off frizzling, and the cook, who was just going to pull the hair of the scurvy boy because he had forgotten something, let him go and went to sleep. And then the wind fell on the trees before the castle, not a leaf moved again. But round about the castle there began to grow a hedge of thorns, which every year became higher, and at last grew close up around the castle and all around it, so that there was nothing of it to be seen, not even the flag upon the roof. But the story of the beautiful sleeping Briar Rose, for so the princess was named, went about the country, so that from time to time the king's sons came and tried to get through the thorny hedge into the castle. But they found it impossible, for the thorns held fast together as if they had hands, and the youths were caught in them and could not get loose again, and died a miserable death. After long, long years, a king's son came again to that country, and heard an old man talking about the thorn hedge, and that a castle was said to stand behind in it, where a beautiful princess named Briar Rose had been asleep for 100 years, and that the king and queen and the whole court were asleep likewise. He had heard, too, from his grandfather, that many kings' sons had already come and tried to get through the thorny hedge, but they all remained sticking fast in it, and had died a pitiful death. Then the youth said, "I am not afraid. I will go see the beautiful Briar Rose." The good old man might dissuade him as he would, but he would not listen to his words. But this time the 100 years had just passed, and the day has come when Briar Rose was to wake again. When the king's son came near the thorn hedge, it was nothing but a large, beautiful flowers, which parted from each other of their own accord, and let him pass unhurt. Then they closed again behind him like a hedge. In the castle yard he saw the horses, spotted hounds lying asleep. On the roof sat the pigeons with their heads under the wings, and when he entered the house, the flies were asleep on the wall. The cook in the kitchen was still holding his hand out to seize the boy, and the maid was sitting by the black hen which he was going to pluck. He went on further. In the great hall he saw the whole court lying asleep, and by the throne lay the king and queen. And he went on still farther, and all was so quiet a breath could be heard. And at last he came to the tower, and opened the door into the little room where Briar Rose was sleeping. There she lay, so beautiful that he could not turn his eyes away. He stooped down and gave her a kiss. But as soon as he kissed her, Briar Rose opened her eyes and awoke, and looked at him quite sweetly. Then they went down together, and the king awoke, and the queen and the whole court looked at each other in great astonishment. And the horses in the courtyard stood up and shook themselves. The hounds jumped and wagged their tails. Pigeons upon the roof pulled out their heads from under their wings, looked around, and flew into the open country. The flies on the wall crept again. The fire in the kitchen burned up and flickered and cooked the meat. The joint began to turn and frizzle again. The cook gave the boy such a box on the ear that he screamed, and the maid plucked the fowl ready for the spit. And then the marriage of the king's son with Briar Rose was celebrated with all splendor, and they lived content to the end of their days.